So right, we'll start today about the asynchronous operation in that batch box. We already seen schedule apex. We have seen about future method. We have seen about tuple. Now the question is, when you already have a future method, why are you going for a tuple? You already have a future method, then why are you going for a tuple? What is the purpose of going for a tuple when you already have a future method? What is the purpose of going for a tuple when you already have a future method? What is the purpose? We cannot run a future within a future. We want to run the job one after the other. We want to run the asynchronous operations one after the other, which is not possible with future method. That is the reason we go for tuple. When you already have a future and a tuple, why are you going for a schedule apex? When you already have a future and tuple, why are you going for a schedule apex? Why are you going for a schedule apex? Now you want to run the operation at a particular time. We cannot run it using a future or tuple. If you want to run the operation at a particular time, we can do that only with schedule apex. If you want to run the operation at a particular time, we can only do it with schedule apex. So when you have future and tuple, they are asynchronous. But they cannot be scheduled. Schedule apex is used to schedule the job at a particular time. Okay. Now when you already have a schedule apex, why are you going for a batch apex? That's what we are going to discuss now. So what are the asynchronous operations we have? Go ahead once again. What are the asynchronous operations we have? Future, queue, schedule, future, queue, schedule, and batch apex. So when you want to understand what is the purpose of batch apex, first we need to understand what are the governing limits. Salesforce company is implementing multi-tenant architecture. Salesforce company is implementing multi-tenant architecture. Salesforce company is implementing multi-tenant architecture. Okay. To implement a multi-tenant architecture, why it is implementing? Now, if there are 10 applications running on the cloud, all the applications should have same speed, same security. Now, if they don't want a particular application to dominate the cloud, because they don't want a particular application to dominate the cloud, Salesforce is implementing multi-tenant architecture. Salesforce is implementing multi-tenant architecture. With this, it will avoid dominance of any one particular application on the cloud. So if you are implementing a multi-tenant architecture, how it is implementing? To obey multi-tenant architecture, Salesforce has used governing limits. To obey multi-tenant architecture, Salesforce has applied governing limits. What are they? Governing limits are limitations applied on every functionality of the Salesforce. Limitations applied on every functionality of Salesforce. What are the limitations? Let me give you. First, number of SQL queries within a transaction. Now we have public void SQL example. Public void SQL example. Public void SQL example. Here I am giving How many times the loop will run? 1 or 2 times. The loop is going to run how many times? 1 or 2 times. Total number of SQL queries in the method. Total number of SQL queries in the method cannot be more than 100. Then we give X. What is the exception got? Too many SQL queries, 101 exception. Total number of SQL queries what we received. If it is more than 100, it throws an exception. Total number of SQL queries is more than 100, we get an exception. So how many SQL queries we can write? Only 100 SQL queries. It is a governing event. Now, public void how many times the loop will run? 150 times. So how many times the DML is going to run? 155. Number of times in the loop, how many times I inserted the record? 150 times. So how many times I call the insert? 155 times I call the insert. And I give execute. What is the error we received? What is the error we received? We received 151 exception. We received 151 exception. Total number of SQL queries that we can write is only 150. If it is more than 150, it throws error message. Now, on how many records we can make a DML operation? Now look at this. Total how many records we have? 10,000. Now we got it. Total number of records, we got 10,003. Total number of records, we got 10,003. Then we had here insert accounts, 10,003. Insert accounts. So total, how many times you are calling a DML? One time. How many inserts you call? Only one insert. But on how many records you are calling? 10,003 records. Number of times you are calling DML is only one. Only one DML I wrote, insert accounts. I wrote outside the loop. So how many times I am calling? Only once. But on how many records you are calling? On how many records you are calling? On 10,003 records. So on how many records we can make a DML operation? Within a method, maximum number of records on which we can perform the DML is 10,003. Look at this. We received too many DML rows, 10,001. Too many DML rows, 10,001. This is the error what we received. Too many DML rows. Maximum number of records on which I can perform a DML is 10,001. Maximum number of records on which you can perform a DML is 10,001. I hope you are good. I hope you are good with this. Am I clear? So what is the operation? All these are limits. What are those limits? Let me show you. How many number of, now these are what? SQL queries. Now governing limits. Number of SQL queries, maximum 100 in a transaction. Number of records we can fetch in a SQL query, 50,000 records. All the queries together, 50,000. Number of SOSL, 20. Number of DML statements, 50, 150. Number of records, 10,000. CPU time, 10,000 seconds. Maximum heap size, okay. Number of callouts, web service callouts, 100. Number of email invocation, message.send email, 10 times. Number of future calls, 50. Number of queuable jobs, 50. Number of scheduled jobs, 100. Are you getting? All these are what? Limitations. They are called governing limits. They are called governing limits. But the question here is, now on how many records you can perform a DML? 10,000 records. But I have a requirement like this. Get me all the opportunities created this month and set the stage name as closed 1. Get me all the opportunities which are created this month and set the stage name as closed 1. In that case, how many records we got? 50,000 records we got. Now, on how many records you have to modify? 50,000 records. But according to the Salesforce, in a transaction, on how many records we can perform a DML? 10,000 records. If you want to perform a DML on more than 10,000, then what we have to do? Throws error. What is the error we get? Too many DML rows. But my requirement says you have to update 50,000 records. But DML, governing limit says you can only perform the update on 10,000 records. The governing limit says you can only perform update on 10,000, but my requirement says you have to update 50,000 records. How will you achieve? In case if your business requirement demands more than your governing limits, then how will you achieve it? If your business requirement demands the operation with a more than governing limits, then how will you achieve? That is a question mark. I hope you got my point. Why did the Salesforce implement multi-tenant architecture? Why did the Salesforce implement a multi-tenant architecture? Right? Salesforce to obey. Okay. Salesforce want to avoid dominance of. Salesforce want to avoid dominance of. Salesforce want to avoid dominance of particular application on the cloud. So to avoid this dominance, what the Salesforce has done? Applied multi-tenant architecture. To achieve this multi-tenant architecture, Salesforce is implementing governing limits. Again, why multi-tenant architecture? Why multi-tenant architecture? Salesforce want to avoid dominance of any particular application. Salesforce want to avoid the dominance of any particular application on the cloud. To avoid this, it has given multi-tenant architecture. To achieve this multi-tenant architecture, it has to define governing limits. Tell some of the governing limits: 100 SQL queries, 150 DML, 100 SQLs, 150 DML, 10,000 records, 10 email invocation, 50 feature, 50 queuables. All these are what? Governing limits. Now, in case if your business requirement demands, more than 50, more than 50,000 records, how will you achieve? If your business requirement says update more than 10,000 records, how will you update? If your business requirement says send, call, message.send email more than 10 times, how will you call? So if your business requirement is going to work with the larger amount of data, if your requirement is working on larger amount of data, if your business requirement is working on larger amount of data, there is a possibility of hitting governing limits. If you are working with a larger amount of data, there is a possibility of crossing the governing limits. There is a possibility of crossing the governing limits. Then how will you implement it? I hope you got my point. If you are working with a larger amount of data, then there is a possibility of hitting the governing limit. How will you achieve it? That is given by achieved by batch effects. How does the batch effects achieve it? How does the batch effects achieve it? How does the BatchWorks achieve it? Whatever the operation we have, this is the data on which I want to perform. This is the data. Now, on this data, I am performing an operation. Let us say 1,000. I told, there are 1,000 accounts. Get all the contacts, opportunities of this account, delete them. For 1,000 accounts, all the opportunities, all the cases, all the lead, okay, all the cases, contacts, opportunities, together we got 30,000 records. When you want to delete, it throws error message. My requirement is, I am giving you 1,000 account records. Get the contacts, opportunities, cases of this account, delete them. That is my requirement. For the 1,000 accounts, all the opportunities, cases, contacts together, I got 30,000 records. Now, when I try to delete 30,000 record, it throws governing limits exception. Why? Because in a transaction, only 10,000, only 150, only 100. There is a reason what we are doing. Whatever the job we have, we are breaking the job into number of tail jobs. The same job is broken down into number of. The same job is broken down into number of tail jobs. We have, let us say, 250. They divided the 1,000 records into 250, 250, 250. Then run them independently. When you are running them independently, this will run separately, this will run separately, this will run separately, this will run separately. When they are running separately, 100 equals 150 DML. This is how we got. I hope you have got clear. So break the data into number of batches, run them separately. Now, if I run it together, 10,000 records. When I break them into number of sub jobs, run them separately, how many records? 40,000 records. Because everything is going to run separately. First 250 will have 10,000 emails, 10,000 records. Second, 10,000. Third, 10,000. Fourth, 10,000. Because of this, we can overcome the governing limits problem. Break the job into number of tail jobs. Run the tail jobs independently. Break the job into number of tail jobs. Run them independently. Then this is called BatchWorks. Once you run, right. I hope you are good with this. Clear? People are clear with this example? Get the data, break them into a number of batches, run them individually, and finish. I hope you are good with this. Clear? Now, how will you achieve? Concept is clear. Break the job into number of tail jobs, run all of them separately, finally join them. This will overcome the limits issue. Are you clear about the concept? Am I clear? Am I clear? Okay. Now, how will you define the BatchWorks? If anybody want to define a BatchWorks, there are 3 methods involved. Start, start method. Start method will fetch the data. Then start. We have now whatever the logic you want to run, we define the logic in XQ. Whatever the logic we want to run, we define the logic in execute. So what happened on this? No. Start method will break the data into number of batches. Start method will break the data into number of batches. On every batch, execute method is running. On every batch, execute method is running. Then we have finish. So how many methods are there? 3 methods are there. What is the first method? Start. What is the purpose of start method? Fetch the data. Whatever the data on which you want to run the operation, fetch the data. Then what is the purpose of execute method? Run the logic. Whatever the logic you want to define an execute method. How many times the execute will run? Depends upon number of jobs you are dividing. Finish method. Once you have completed everything, then the finish method will run. So finally, how many we have? Start, execute, finish. Start will run how many times? 1 time. Execute will run how many times? Number of times. Depends upon number of batches. Finish 1 time. One job broken into number of child jobs, then we are running it. One job broken into number of child jobs, running. Start will fetch the data. Execute will run the logic. Finish after completing entire operation. Whatever the final logic you want to run, that is defined in finish. Now let us see this one. Database dot batch. If you want to run any Apex class as batch Apex, then it has to implement database dot batchable interface. If you want to run any Apex class as batch Apex, you want the Apex class to run like a batch Apex. It has to implement database dot batchable interface. If you want an Apex class to run like a batch Apex, it has to implement database dot batchable interface. Example: global. Class is global. Why? Because database dot batchable interface is global. Because the interface is a global, class which is implementing the interface should also be a global. So global example implements. This is how the class has to. So if you want any Apex class to run like a batch Apex, class has to implement database dot batchable interface. I hope you're good. Then do this example. Create a class. Create a batch Apex class. Complete fast. Global, class, up to stage. Right. This is how we create. Then, any class which is implementing database.batchable interface has to define the methods in the interface. Any class which is implementing this interface has to define methods in the interface. What are the methods we have? Start. What is the purpose of start method? Fetch all the records on which logic has to be. Then syntax. Syntax. Global database dot query locator or start. This is the syntax. Global database dot query locator, iterable S object, start database dot batchable context. Now, when do you use query locator? If you want to write a SQL query and get the data, if you want to write a SQL query and get the data, then we use if you want to write a SQL query and get the data, if I want to write a SQL query and get the data, then we use query locator. If you want to write a SQL query and get the data, then we use query locator. If I want to write a SQL query, get the data, then we use query locator. Again, I repeat. If I want to write a SQL query and get the data, then we use query locator. Then we are going to use query locator. The next, how many records we can fetch? We can fetch 50 million records. Generally, if I write a SQL, how many records we get? If you write a SQL, how many records we get? 50,000 records. But if you go with a SQL query in the BatchFX, how many records? Okay. How many records we can get? 50 million. How many? 50 million. How many? 50 million records. If I go with a SQL query in BatchFX, how many records we can get? 50 million. Next. Then when do you use iterable? Now, we don't want to write a SQL query. We want to write a logic and iterable. If you want to fetch the data using a SQL query, we want to fetch the data We won't. We won't fetch the data using SQL query. We want to write a complex logic like some list of records, get the list, put them in a proper class. Some logic you want to write and get it. It is not straight away SQL query. You don't want to get the data by using a SQL query. You don't want to get the data by using a SQL query. You want to write some logic, put the data in a list, give that list. Then we go for what? A table. You want to write a query on the table, get the data, query located. Now you want to write a logic, get the data, put them in a list, use that list, a table. But if you go for a table, how many records? 50,000 records only. In the table, how many records you can use? 50,000. A table can give you how many records? 50,000. There is a reason we go for query located. There is a reason we go for query located. There is a reason we go for query located. I hope you're good. Okay. Start method is for what? Fetching the data on which you want to run the logic. So let us see an example. Global class global database dot relocated start. Then I'm giving string query equal to I'm writing a query. How you give it? Written database dot get query located. What I was doing? Start with it. Database dot query located. Start database dot batchable context. What is the query I want to execute? Select ID, name, rating from account. How are you executing? Database dot get query locator. Whatever the query string you want to execute. Database dot get query locator. Whatever the string you want to execute. Database dot get query locator. Whatever the string you want to execute. I hope you are good. I hope you are good with this. Up to how many records? 50 million records. Now write the example. Write a batchbox class. Which will fetch all the accounts created Write these two examples with start method. Now we got a class which implements database.batch. Then we are giving global what a batch after delete with will fetch all the opportunities which are now. In this one, what we are supposed to do? String database.get query located. Get to complete the remaining. Right, boss? String I hope you are good with this. Clear for everyone? I hope you are good with this one. Now what we are going to do, this is a start. What is the purpose of start method? Fetch the data on which you want to run the logic. The next method we have execute. What is execute? Whatever the logic you want to implement, that logic will be defined in the execute. Now look at the point. Here the execute is running. How many records are here? Let us say 200 records. Now this execute is running on which record? These 200 records. Now these 200 records will be passed as parameter here. This execute is running on which record? These 200 records. Now we are passing a list of records to this execute. They are going to run. When you divide them into a number of batches, every batch has a group of records. On this group of records, they are going to run. On those group of record, they are going to run. Are you getting? If you pass the list of record, I am going to run the logic. If you pass the list of record, I am going to run the logic. So let us see this example. Global if it is an account, we need to give account, contact. So what happened? What will be there in the scope? When you break them into a number of batches, in batch 1, whatever the records are there, they will come here. And one more execute is going to run. In that execute, whatever the records are there in the batch 2, they will run. So every batch will have one execute. In that execute, the list of records on which we are running, those records are passed. Global void execute. Global void execute. I hope you are good. Now, look at the point. So what will be defined in this? Logic will be defined. What will be defined in this? Logic will be defined. So go back here. Public class example implements. Then I'm giving global void execute. List off on which object we are writing. Scope. Then I'm taking one by one record. Whatever the records are there in the scope, take one by one record, then say a dot rating equal to warm. Whatever the records we fetched, on those records, one by one record we are taking, writing your logic. Is that was clear? Is that was clear? Logic. How many times this logic will run? If there are 10 batches, 10 executes are running at a time. It's not like batch 1, batch 2, batch 3. It is like all the 10 batches running at a time. So 10 different execute methods are running at a time. I hope you are good. Right? People are good with this. Right, boss? Now, write this. Write a batch mix. Which will fetch all the accounts created today and reassign them to. So you have to fetch the records using start. You have to update the records using execute. And how you give it? Global implements database dot batchable S object global database dot query locator start. Then fetch all the records which are created today. String query. Global void execute. List of account. Then what we are doing? Take one by one account. Then we give a dot am I right? Fetch the data, break them into batches, run the operation. Fetch the data, break them into batches, run the operation. Fetch the data, break them into batches, run the operation. I hope you are good with this. Now, finally, we have finish method. What is the finish method? After completing all the executes, what is the final operation you want to perform? After finishing all the executes, what is the final operation we want to complete? What is the final operation we want to complete? That we are going to finalize with the finish operation. Right. Now let us go to the next one. Overall final picture we are going to define. All together, how you define it. Look at this example, everyone. Global class example implements database dot batch. Class implements database dot batchable. Class implements database dot batchable interface. Class implements database dot batchable interface. Here we have global database dot locator dot database dot batchable. Start method. Now, what is the start method doing? Fetch all the accounts. String query, select ID, name. This is what I create. Then how do you execute it? Return database dot get query. I hope this is clear for everyone. We have done the examples. Start method. Update the values of ownership. global void database dot batchable. This is what I give. Now, global void execute database dot batchable context BC list of account scope. So take one by one account. Account A scope. Account A scope. So you are giving A dot rating equal to, then I told update. Then I'm going with the finish method. Global void database dot batchable context. Generally, what we do in the finish method, we will send an email saying that the following operation completed. Okay. How do you find out the status of the job? How do you find out the status of the job? Asynchronous job, if you are running a asynchronous job, how do you, if you are running a asynchronous job, 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 how do you run it? Look at this. Async Apex job. Now in this, what are the fields we have? Now, what is the job type? Then, when was the last processed? When was the last processed? How many jobs are processed? How many jobs are processed? Number of job items processed. Job type. Number of job items processed. Number of errors we got. And what is the status? This is what we want to get. So when you are writing a SQL query on async Apex job, it will tell you what is the job type, number of job items processed, number of job items processed, number of job items processed, now let us look at this format. Just give me 1 minute, Amma. Right, okay. Number of jobs processed, what is the job type, number of jobs processed, number of errors we received, that we can track it. Async Apex job, we can track the status of the job. So look at the final operation here, finish. Async Apex job, select ID, job type, total jobs, you can take total job items. Next, job items processed, number of errors we received, from async where job ID equal to, where ID equal to BC dot get Now, what is this batchable context? What is this batchable context? Batchable context, it will contain the ID of the job which is running now. It will contain the ID of the job which is running now. It will contain the ID of the job which is running now. It will contain the ID of the job which is running now. It will contain the ID of the job which is running now. It will contain the ID of the job which is running now. It will contain the ID of the job which is running. Now, if you give me the current job ID, based on the job ID, I can tell you the status. Now, when the job is running, if you can give me the job ID, I can tell you the status of the job. I can tell you the status of the job. So, what is the purpose of async apex job? Any asynchronous job that is running will be registered with this. Any asynchronous job that is running will be registered with this. If I give a job ID, it will tell me the status of the job. Now, what I want to do, I want to send a mail. Messaging dot single email. I want to send a message to my manager or administrator that batch operation is completed. Now, this already you've done number of times. I don't think you require any explanation about single email message, right? You have done number of examples on single email message. Message dot set to string body. Job ID. Successfully. Then total job items. JB dot total job items. Body equal to body plus number of errors. Now we are giving this message. Now we want to send a message. How do you send message? Dot set subject batch status. Set HTML body. So in the finish method, what we are doing, if you want to perform any post batch operation after completing the batch, you want to perform any post batch operation, we do it in the finish method. Generally, what we do? Sending an email. Generally, what we do? Sending an email. After completing the batch, I want to send an email notification that this batch is completed. These are the success, these are the errors. Now look at the point. Start will fetch the data. Execute will run the logic. Finish post batch operation. I hope you're good. Start, fetch the data, execute, run the logic, finish post batch operation. Now, how do you execute this? If you want to execute this, create the class, create the object for the class, ID, job ID equal to database dot execute, database.execute batch. That is system.enqueue job for queue. Okay, queueable apex. What is the way of executing? System.enqueue job for batch apex, database.execute batch. Now, you told divide the data into number of batches. What is the size of the batch? I told 5 records. Take 5 record as one batch. Take 5 record as one batch, and because I have less number of record, I have taken 5. Execute. When you execute, what will happen? Go to jobs, Apex jobs. Look at this, batch Apex. Batch Apex holding state. Once this is completed, we will see the number of batches. Did you get my point? Java is registered with processing state. Then how do you execute it? 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 Database.execute batch. Database.execute batch. Database.execute batch. Database.execute batch. Right. Database.execute batch. Batch Apex completed. How many batches came? 5 batches. Why? The number of records in the account should be, 22, 21. 21 records, 5, and 1. Right? That's the reason 5 batches are coming. Then I got mail finish operation, which will send a mail batch status, job ID, total number of jobs 5, number of errors. Right, boss? So how do you execute a batch Apex? Database.execute batch. Now, if you don't mention the size, what is the default size? Default size is 200. If I don't mention the size, simply say database.execute batch B. It will take the size equal to 200. Minimum size, maximum size, now minimum size what I can give is 1, maximum size is 2000, default size. If you don't mention the size, by default it will take 2000. If you don't mention the size, by default it will take 2000. If you don't mention the size, default size it will take as 2000. Minimum 1, maximum 2000, default is 200. I hope you are good. I hope you are good. Okay. Now let me take an example. Suppose this execution failed. What will happen to remaining? Remaining will execute successfully. Why? They are not running one after the other. They are running separately. If any one of the execute fail, remaining executes will not fail. They will continue. If any one of the execute fail, remaining execute will not fail. Remaining will continue. Why? Because all of them are running independently. Why? All of them are running independently. I hope you are good. Okay. Now, if the start method failed, if the start method failed, entire operation will fail. If the start method failed, entire operation will fail. If any one of the execute method failed, only that execute will fail, remaining will be successful. If the finish method failed, if this method failed, okay, what will happen? When do I come to finish? After completing all the batches only, right? If the finish method fail, only finish will fail. So when the batch Apex will fail, only when the start method fail, batch operation will fail. Otherwise, if execute fail, only that execute will fail. If finish fail, only the finish will fail. I hope you are clear with this, right? I hope you are clear with this. Am I clear? Am I clear with this? If the start fail, entire operation will fail. If the execute fail, only that execute will fail. Now the execute is running 4 times. One of the execute fail, only that execute will fail. If finish fail, only finish will fail. I hope you got the story. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear with this? Am I clear with this? Okay. Now let us do one final example before we wind up. Still, there is a lot of story. We have not done the complete batch. It will take one more session for us to complete. Create a batch Apex which will fetch all the opportunities which are created. Last year, and stages is not closed. Sorry, created last year. Update their stage name as send an email to once the operation is closed. Right. Create this example, everyone.
Hi, Satish.
Yes,
Can we only pass one parameter as object type in execute method?
no, see, can you pass?
One parameter. I mean, this list of account you have taken. We can also.
Syntax is a must. You cannot bypass the syntax, no?
Okay.
Now, syntax of execute method is database dot batchable. This is a scope.
Okay. Thank you.
Everyone, go ahead. Any question? Come ahead. So I was giving. Create a date equal to give the result. Return database dot get query located. Then database dot get query located. Global void execute. Global void execute database dot batchful context VC list of opportunities. Then I ask you to take one by one record, write the logic, then go for a finish method, write the email program. Then in the finish method, write the email program. Right? People don't want to write. Once it is done, you want to copy. Right. That's all from my end. See you all in the next session. Tomorrow is a holiday. We'll meet back again on Friday. Have you received the hard copies? Badge of X. Soft copy already posted.
Hello.
Yes, Amma.
Yeah, sir, I just want to ask, is there any other third party other than Workbench for Salesforce?
Workbench is a third party tool. It's not a Salesforce tool. It's third party tool. Because previously, developer console is not so strong. 3 years or 4 years back. Okay, that time we used to use Workbench for getting the software query, testing the software queries. But now, whatever you're finding here in the developer console, previously they are not available in the initial case. These are query-ators. Is not available. So that time we used to check it in the third-party tool because it was more easy. But now we are able to do everything from here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now a lot of internal objects are not available. We cannot see it in the Salesforce directly. Okay, that I am able to see them in the Workbench. That is the reason we are using a Workbench, but practically Workbench is not a Salesforce tool. It's a third-party tool. Okay, third-party tool. If you open their site also, they officially claim there was a legal issue recently on the Workbench.
Okay.
They started projecting that we are not a part of Salesforce also.
Okay. So, sir, is there any other also like that?
There are many tools available. There are many tools.
Okay. So basically, Salesforce is having its own.
Pardon me? Salesforce?
Okay. Salesforce is having its own third party.
No. Data load is only third party that Salesforce has.
Okay.
Okay, for development we have Force.com, Eclipse integration.
Okay. Yeah. And sir, one more question, sir. Like how we write web service. So similarly, to consume web service, how do we write code for that?
Come again, I didn't get you.
Sir, how to consume web services?
How to consume?
Web services.
Web service. What do you mean by web services?
Sir, when we are interacting with the other tools, so we write web services for that. So integration part, sir. So
Web
how
service.
do we?
No, it's not web service. Web services.
Yeah, web services.
Yeah. Web service that is using a REST API, SOAP API.
Yeah. So if we are interacting with the other tools, then we do integration part. Like we write web services for that for the other tool. So
See,
how do we
let me
consume?
make it. Any two systems want to communicate,
Yeah.
web service is a must.
Yes.
Okay. Web service. If the web services are already written by somebody, written by someone, okay,
Yes, sir.
and they are giving you like a UI, that is called tool. Okay. No, you are writing the program. So if two systems are trying to integrate, then there is integration.
Yes.
The integration, okay, web services are written by somebody. Okay, and they are giving a UI, we call them as a tool. If you're writing the web service program, if you're integrating the two systems by writing a web service program, it is a programmatical interface. Right, your data loader is a tool. Delboomi is a tool. Jitterbit is a tool. MuleSoft is a tool. Like these tools are available.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the help of this, we can consume other web services.
See again, now you are making a global statement that I cannot guarantee it. Okay. Now you want to consume, okay, you want to, when you say web service, you are writing a program.
Yes.
Now I told you, integration has 2 points. Tools are web services.
Okay.
Now the service given by third party, what is your requirement? The third party is there. From this third party, you are getting the data.
Yes.
Okay. Then are you using any tool for getting the data? Are you using a tool or you want to write a program?
I just want to write a program.
Then it is called web service.
Okay.
All web services will be 2 types only. REST and SOAP.
REST and SOAP. Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yes. I got it. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Satish, the same program you have written, but that we can execute using the execute anonymous window. But in the real-time scenario,
call from a trigger, call from a trigger, call from a schedule apex, call from the feature, call from the VF page. Now we create a Visual Force page, create a button. When you click on a button, the code will run.
Okay.
Now it is Apex code. We gave a code how to run. Now wherever you write the code, it will execute. Okay.
Yes, right. Thank you, Satish.
Right. That's all from my end. See you all on Friday.